Say that again. Just sit down, please. Just get the TV cameras, get a quick shot.
Thank you.
TV, see the shirt. That's it. For the TV, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Pleasure for me to be here in London, to be here in England. It's a pleasure to be in Premier League at the moment the best championship in the world. And I am very happy to be here in Chelsea. I have to say sorry to everybody because my English is not so good as to have a press conference in English, especially today. I don't want to say anything wrong, so I prefer to answer in Italian to your questions. I hope I will be able to do it in a few weeks. Sorry again and thank you.
Okay, we're going to start in the middle at the front here then with Ian, please, from Sky.
Maurizio, hello. Welcome to Chelsea. We've been expecting you for some time. Has the delay in your appointments affected your preparations, or is it something you've been planning for some time?
No. I was not planning anything. I had to solve a situation with Napoli, so I was not planning anything. I knew that Chelsea could be interested, but then the situation was resolved a few days ago. So there are preparation difficulties, and I will have to solve it together with my staff.
How big a challenge is this for you? Sorry, how big a challenge is this for you? In what way do you sense that perhaps the Premier League is different from being in Serie A? And tell me, did you ask Carlo Ancelotti at all about coming to Chelsea?
Well, for me, this is a difficult challenge, but a fascinating one. I know that it will be very difficult. And here we have the strongest coaches in the world and the strongest players in the world. So I know that this will be an extremely difficult challenge for me. I have not asked anything to anyone, honestly. I want to have this experience also based on my mistakes. The Premier League is different from Serie A because it is stronger. At the moment, the Premier is the strongest one. Serie A is a tactically difficult league, but here there are stronger players. However, I do not to upset anything. I need to have fun in order to do well. And I have also noticed that over the last year, something changed in the Premier as well. It is not a typically English squad in terms of playing, but this has given me confidence, but I know that it will be difficult.
The future of some Chelsea players, Eden Hazard, Thibaut Courtois, Willian, how determined are you to keep them as Chelsea players? Can you give any guarantees at all that they will be here for the coming season? And what can you tell us about players that you want to sign? Gonzalo Higuain?
Well, clearly, we would always like to keep all the strongest players. This is what any manager wants to do. This is what any club wants to do. But then we will have to see how the transfer market will go over the next few days. But I want to clarify that I feel much more a field manager, a pitch manager, than a general manager. I think that I am one of the few managers who is bored by the transfer market. I don't want to talk about transfer market, and I'm not that interested in it. I think that our task as managers is growing the players that we have.
Welcome to London.
Thank you.
The last Chelsea manager won the league and then the FA Cup, but still got sacked. What do you have to do to keep your job?
I don't know, and I'm not interested. My goal is to have fun as long as I'm here, and possibly being competitive in all the competitions until the end. And my personal objective is to have fun, because I think that in life, the biggest gift you may receive is have fun while you do your job. Few people have this, but I hope this will happen to me. And I managed to do that last year. Could you repeat the question? You were not using a microphone.
Does being fun, does that win trophies?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But I think it's better not to win, to enjoy, that vice versa.
Okay, last question.
Okay. Can Chelsea fans expect more entertaining football then?
I hope so. I really hope so. Clearly, kind of football can be entertaining or not, but much depends on the players. A good manager, if he has a strong player, there has to be a lot of physicality. Otherwise, there has to be a lot of technical play. This will depend on the characteristics of the final squad. But I am convinced that if a team has fun, often the fans have fun too. And this is very important. And then obviously there's the material objective, which is to have high-level objectives, to reach high-level objectives. But we must start by having fun. This is important for us and for our fans.
Gentleman there, second row.
Facendo un passo indietro, lei i tifosi del Napoli si è lasciato magnificamente.
You left very well from Napoli's fans, but not with the Laurentis. Was it unavoidable to part in this way? I don't know. I have a wonderful memory of Napoli. I love the people there, and I will always love them. If we parted not in good terms with the club and the presidents, I think that mistakes have been made on both sides. Maybe the president misinterpreted some silences of mine, but these were the results of some uncertainties. For someone who thought that it was time to go, but I was heartbroken. So that's it. I think that over the next few years, we will overcome this. You have said before that maybe the biggest adversary is time. We have 18 days left until Community Shield against Guardiola. And I wanted to ask you, how far away is the team from your football philosophy? And I want to know if you spoke with Antonio Conte. I don't want to be influenced by nothing and no one, or by judgments which are made by people who have seen something at a certain point from a certain prospect. Antonio has reached incredible results here and elsewhere. He is an extraordinary manager. And clearly, I play in a slightly different way, so it will take some time for the squad. This is a post-World Cup time, so many players still have to come back. It will take some time to build a slightly different way of playing, because all good things that Antonio Conte did must be left. They should not be changed. But it is also true that in today's football, these are the timelines. So it is very important also to know how to impose one's own football's philosophy in shorter times, shorter than the past.
At the World Cup, I got to speak to Koulibaly after one of Senegal's games, and I asked him about what we could expect from you and your style of football, and he was very, very complimentary. He said that we would love your style of football, it's going to be great, but he also said Chelsea fans need to be patient and need to give you time. How much time will you think you will need here before we finally see what I was being told about by your ex-players at the World Cup?
They should not be changed. Well, it depends. In my previous experiences, a few years ago, I needed a long time. Once I needed 3 months, and I resisted thanks to the club's farsightedness. Last time, because in Napoli we have suffered in the first 3 matches, and then we started along a positive path. I hope that I have improved. I hope that this initial time can be shortened, and I hope that the quality of the players will allow me to have the same results while we're still building the team. What is the first thing of a Sarri manager that you will introduce in this club, which is a traditional club, an English traditional club? What is the first thing you will introduce? I do not want to change anything in the club's philosophy, but I think that over the past years, this has been one of the best clubs in England and in Europe. I want to bring my philosophy essentially on the pitch. I always start from something. Ours is not a sport, but a game, and anybody who plays a game has started doing that when they were a child, to have fun. So the child in each of us must be nurtured, because this often makes us the best. The professional aspect, yes, also makes the best of us, but 99% of times, not 100% of times. So trying to create a play that has fun is the first thing to obtain everything else from a very high-level squad. Microphone, please. In the first interview, You said that one or two players and this Chelsea is going to be my ideal Chelsea. You will never give me any names, but could you tell us in general, or these one or two players you hope that the club is going to bring? I cannot name any names because I don't know who these people are. I spoke with the football club and I said that ideally I think that a pinch of quality is lacking in our centre halves for a certain kind of play. Otherwise, they are at a very high level. So at the end of the transfers, it will be up to me to understand what kind of game is the most suitable to the squad, to the final squad. I cannot claim to come here to Chelsea and change 20 players. I must adapt to Chelsea, I must adapt to the available players, and then in the end we will see whether or not to change something in my game, because the squad is advising me to play a different game. Because of their characteristics.
What have you learned from your friend Pep Guardiola about how difficult it is to impose that philosophy in English football?
Well, he is a class act. He's a champion. And so he's a genius. So it is difficult to explain what his insights are. Clearly, in the first year, he had some difficulties as well. However, I think that 100 points in Premier is an extraordinary feat. It's something that maybe cannot be repeated. But we are talking about genius, so the first step for us is to fill in a gap, which was quite clear last year, but which 2 years ago was in favour of Chelsea. I hope it was an occasional gap and not a structural one, and we will work so that it will be an occasional gap.
Hi, Maurizio. Could you please explain how your move to Chelsea came about? Who at the club you spoke to, when you spoke to them, how they sold you the vision of the job and what they expect from you?
Until a few days ago, I did not speak with the club. Through my representative and my lawyers, I knew that there could be an interest. I knew that this was a possibility, but I wasn't sure. And then I met the members of the club only over the past few days, at the end of last week. The club has not asked me anything. They just asked me to build a season where we have to be competitive in all competitions, and in order to do that we must get to March or April in competition, in all competitions. This is the first step, and then during the season we will see whether or not we want to have more specific objectives. But for the time being, we have spoken of this.
As I'm sure you know, Roman Abramovich has a problem with the British government about getting into the country because of the lack of a visa. I just wondered if you had spoken to him and if he had given you any assurances about his commitment to Chelsea transfer budgets and the fact that nothing will change because of his problem with the British government.
Well, this is something. Well, our owner is an extremely reserved person, so I don't want to start a work relationship with him by speaking about private things. I think that this is an extremely private relationship, and I would also hope that this relationship is respected, also given the characteristics of our owner.
Hey, how important does Gary Cahill have a future at Chelsea? And do English players, how important is it that you keep an English spine in your squad?
Well, a number of English players is imposed in the players list, so there will be English players, that's for sure. I never want to make this kind of distinctions. I'm not interested in nationality. Players are neither English nor French nor any other nationalities. They are strong, they are less strong, they are not young or old, they are stronger or less strong. With respect to Cahill, I think that he can still give us a lot. With respect to keeping the English players, according to my experience in Italy, something must be left. One of the teams that played with the highest number of Italians was Juventus, and Juventus structure led to important results. So I think that also in multi-ethnic squads, as the English ones, but also as the teams of other countries, we should respect a very long tradition, and I think this is right.
We don't know an awful lot about you here in England, but we do know some of the comments that you've made have proved controversial in recent times. They've been judged to be homophobic and sexist. I wondered if at this point you'd like the chance to explain or say something, or at least answer these charges and allegations.
People make mistakes. One of these mistakes were made when I was angry. Another one was not even a mistake, because it was a journalist with whom I shared jokes for 3 years, so it was misconstrued. But yes, these were mistakes, that's for sure. I think that those who know me very well cannot define me in this way. Neither homophobic, nor sexist or racist, absolutely not. I think I am an extremely open person, and I do not have this kind of problems. I hope that I will be able to show this when I am working here and when I'm living here. These mistakes were made, yes, but and when somebody makes a mistake, they must apologize and accept that some allegations could be made by the press. A professional and ethical attitude is very important, more than apologies. I hope that you will have the chance to know me better, and I hope that you will forget about this very quickly.
Jose Mourinho, when he arrived here, first of all, called himself the special one. How would you describe yourself?
I would like everyone here and in the club and my players and all of you to call me Maurizio. Just Maurizio.
Pep Guardiola. How do you view Jose Mourinho as a manager and his type of football? How do you rate that?
He's someone who's won everything. I think that is enough for a manager. He's a man who won everything many times, repeatedly, in different clubs. So I think that someone who has this track record does not need any description. We are talking about a top level, a world level coach, a world level manager. So I esteem Guardiola and also the other managers. My play philosophy is closer to Guardiola. That's why I'm closer. But I really appreciate both in the same way.
Maurizio, some of your players will be returning later because they've played at the World Cup. And one or two of those players have indicated that their future may lie away from Chelsea. Do you plan to contact those players to talk to them before they come back on the telephone, or try to talk to them in some way before you meet them when they come back in 3 weeks' time?
I don't think so, honestly, because clearly the players you are referring to are very high-level players, and I would like to keep them in my squad. But telephone call without looking them in the eyes would not give me any certainty. I would like to meet these players face to face and talk to them and understand what the best thing to do will be for everyone. Before that, I would also like a player to come on the pitch for 4 or 5 days together with me to have a clear idea of what the situation is.
Okay, we need 2 more. Liam and then Adrian to finish.
Maurizio, hi. You've spoken a lot about fun in this press conference, that football should be fun. Eden Hazard talks a lot about having fun on the pitch. How much are you looking forward to working with him? And do you think you could have the sort of success with Hazard that you had maybe with Dries Mertens at Napoli?
I was not talking about having fun in a press conference. I would like to have fun on the pitch. I would like to have fun during the week, during the training sessions, and I would like to have fun and win during the matches. Hazard is a very high-level player, and I think that he is one of the top 2 or 3 European players, and obviously I would like to have fun during the week together with him, and also Sundays, because this would mean very good results, and this would mean that we will have been very competitive at the end of the season. So I hope that I will manage to improve him. This is very difficult, given that he has reached a very high level. And then, well, with Mertens, this is it's different. Dries had always been an external striker, and everybody think by necessity that he became a very high-level player. But we are talking about 2 very high-level players. Dries has improved with me, but he had started from a lower level than Hazard's. And I hope that I will improve Hazard too, but this will be very difficult.
Maurizio, I'm sure you're aware of Chelsea's track record with managers. I wondered, when you were considering this job, did you have any concerns about coming to a club where winning trophies doesn't necessarily secure you that much extra time? And on top of that, with your you yourself having not won a trophy, why will it be different here, do you think, given you've acknowledged how much competition there is here at the top of the league to try and win the big trophies?
If I was someone who always worried, probably I would do another job. Our job means risks, but also a lot of satisfaction. What happened in Chelsea in the past does not concern me because I do not know these situations. I am not afraid. I don't want to be afraid. And with respect to the rest, well, it is true that I haven't won anything, but I have been in Serie A for 4 or 5 years, and I think that apart from Juventus, nobody has won anything. So for 3 years in a row, we had a record in club points because on the first year, 82 points was a record for the club, 86 was another record, 91 was another record for the club. So I think that we have worked very well, and the difference between working well and winning often is minimal. And honestly, I hope that I will be able to fill in this gap with this club, to fill in this difference between doing well and winning. I hope so.
Thank you very much. We're now going to take some photos and some videos outside, so Richard will lead you, and we'll see you outside by the pitch. Thank you.